As a brief intro, my name is Katie. I am part of the team at Paloma Health. We host a monthly event on a topic related to hypothyroidism. And this month, September, we've done 2 workouts with our partners at Curves, 2 thyroid-healthy workouts. And so that's what we're doing today is our second workout. As mentioned in the invite, there's no equipment or experience required. Macy's going to walk us through everything we need to know. And at the end of our event, we will have time for live Q&A about exercising with hypothyroidism. So feel free to drop your questions into the chat at the bottom of the screen, and we will get to them at the end. I'm going to pass it over to Macy. Macy is part of the team at Curves. She's been with the company for a long time. I might mess this up, but I think you owned a franchise, and now you've joined as the Senior Manager of Science and Education.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I wanted to make sure I got that title right. So you're going to tell us a bit about Curves, about what to expect today, about working out with hypothyroidism, and then we're going to go through a 30-minute workout. So over to you, Macy.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having us. We're excited to be here with you today. With that, I'm going to go ahead and quickly share my screen. I do have a brief little presentation to share with everybody. So let's see here. Fantastic. So first of all, thank you so much for having us. Like I said, we are excited. One of the things we're very excited about is being able to educate people on how exercise truly is for everyone, and that there is a right way to exercise regardless of where you are with your health journey. And if you have issues such as hypothyroidism, I know exercise can be intimidating, and we'll talk about that a little bit today on how you can actually get the benefits if you're doing the right type of program. Before we get started today, though, we do want to make sure that you grab a water bottle, grab a towel. We may get a little sweaty, and remember, we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So as we jump in, and we want to think a little bit about working out with thyroid conditions. Autoimmune disorders can lower the body's capacity to handle extra stress, and exercise is a stressor. So that's one of the things we want to think about, is that we need to find that balance between how much is good stress and how much is becoming too much, because too much stress can actually trigger inflammation in the body and make our symptoms worse. Particularly people with Hashimoto's may think that they should exercise kind of like the way they used to, and not realize that they could be overdoing it and cause them to actually have a crash after an exercise program, to not feel so good. So one of the things we want to think about today is when we're doing exercise, we always want to think about being in a lower to moderate intensity. We don't necessarily want to go after those HIIT workouts, that high intensity interval workout. We want to kind of keep it on the lower range, but still get benefits. And one of the best ways to know if we're in the right range is by monitoring our heart rate. So every 10 minutes throughout today's workout, we're going to stop and we're going to check our heart rate. So I want you to kind of keep a real good picture of this, this screen here in your mind as we look at this, because I want you to pay close attention to where your heart rate is falling during the workout. For most of us, for our age, we want to be between the 60 and 70 percentile. So if you locate your age across the top, go down 60 to 70%. And for most of us, it's going to be like somewhere between 17 and 21 beats in a 10-second count. If we start going above that 21, 22 beat, we may be working out too hard, and you're going to want to bring it back down just a little bit so that we're not going to have that crash and not feel awful after our workout. The other thing you're going to notice throughout today's workout is we're going to change stations every 30 seconds. This is kind of part of the Curves motto, change stations now every 30 seconds. This allows us to focus on one move, on one portion of our body, one muscle group for 30 seconds. And then just when that muscle group is fatiguing, we're going to move on to work out another part of our body. So we're going to alternate functional exercises between upper body, lower body, and our core. A few other quick reminders. If you're having trouble with the audio, you can change the audio by going to the audio link in the bottom left corner. As I mentioned before, the movements from today's workout are going to be from our body basics types classes. These will focus on functional body weight movements. And after the class, we're going to do a few minutes of stretching. And then Leah's going to show us a few of our resistance band movements. And I'm going to give you a quick tour of the site before we jump in and get started, before we take your questions. So I'm going to quickly go ahead, change my sharing here. So give me just a moment, because I'm going to get our music. A workout's no fun if we don't have music, right? We have to have some good music to jam to while we work out. And if you guys are ready, we're ready to get started. Okay, Katie, if you can highlight Leah for us, perfect. All right. We're going to go ahead and just start with a gentle march in place just to get that blood flowing. And then when it says change stations, we're going to jump into our first movement. Now we're going to do a shoulder press lat pull. So now we're going to go back to that upper body with our feet hip distance apart. We're going to press our arms straight back up, pull right back down, stopping with our hands at our shoulders. You want to really focus on this movement and pretend that you have a 5-pound weight in your arm. Resist that movement as you push up. Resist that movement as you pull back down to get the most out of it. Focus on squeezing those shoulder blades as you pull back down. Make sure those elbows stay in alignment with your shoulders. Now let's do a core movement. We're going to do a forward lunge with core rotation. So step the right foot forward into a lunge. And we're going to rotate towards that right knee, really focusing on the core. Getting a nice twist throughout the obliques and the abdomen. Don't forget to breathe as you hold this one.
Change stations now.
Now let's repeat it on the other side. So we're going to step our left leg forward into that lunge and rotate towards the left knee. Anytime we do something on the right, it's important that we work the left side as well to create body symmetry and balance. Now you've been holding those arms up for about 45 seconds or so, so your arms may start to get tired. It's going to be a challenge to keep them up, but I know you can do it. Don't let them drop.
Change stations now.
Now we've got a little bit of a cardio move. This is butt kicks. So we're going to step and drive our heels up towards our bum. You can do this at a walk, at a jog, or a sprint. You pick your pace. Just pick a pace you can stick with for the entire 30 seconds. Really focus on bringing those heels up towards your bum with each step.
Change stations now.
Let's go back to an upper body movement. We're going to do a reverse fly. So we're going to step with our feet about hip distance apart, hinge forward at the hips with our elbows bent. We're going to squeeze our rhomboids, the muscle between our shoulders, and raise our arms up to shoulder height. Use controlled motions to come back down to the start position. Again, pretend you've got a 5-pound weight in your hand and really resist in both directions.
Change stations now.
Now let's do a deadlift. We're going to stand with our feet hip distance apart again. We're going to lower down like we're lifting a heavy weight off the ground. So hinging forward at the hips, a soft bend in the knee, keeping our back nice and neutral without rounding our back. Lower down. Now lift that heavy weight and come back up. You're going to feel this in your glutes, in your hamstrings. It's going to feel awesome.
Change stations now.
Now let's do a standing donkey kick. We're going to begin with our feet hip distance apart and a slight bend in our knees. We're going to hinge forward and place our hands on the ground. We're going to get one leg up behind us in a gentle kick, raising it up and back as quickly as we can, returning nice and slow. Give me one more rep. Now let's switch sides. Again, we always want to work both sides of the body equally.
Change stations now.
Now we're going to move to an inchworm. So being able to get up and down off the floor is vital to living an active and independent life. So you're going to hinge forward at the hips, placing your hands on the ground, and walk your hands out as far as you can, hopefully all the way to a plank. And then use your hands to walk all the way back and return to the standing position. Remember, this move is about quality, not quantity. So take your time. If you get 1 or 2 reps in, that's great.
Change stations now.
Now we're going to go all the way down to a plank rock. So we're going to go all the way down into a plank position with our arms directly underneath our shoulders, our feet straight out behind us. We're going to use our core to rock back and forth gently. Strive to keep a neutral spine, so you want your hips in alignment with your shoulders, and make sure you're breathing.
Change stations now.
Now we're going to go to a side plank on our right side. So we're going to rotate over to one side. Our knee's going to go down to the ground, or we can go up to both feet, whichever's most comfortable for you. Engage your core so that you have a straight line from your ear, shoulder, and hip. If you need to lower back down halfway and then reset, do you.
Change stations
We're
now.
almost there. Let's go left side. We're going to repeat this on the other side. So down on that left arm, our feet are staggered, or we can stack them, or like I said before, you can lower onto one knee, whichever works best for you. Hold those hips up by engaging your core. Reach that upper arm up towards the ceiling.
Change stations now.
Okay, now let's go ahead and lay on our stomachs. We're going to do a swimmer. So we're going to lay flat on our stomach, legs out behind us, arms by our sides, and we're going to lift our right arm and left leg, and then alternate other side, left arm, right leg. This time we're really focusing on using our abdomen as well as our lower back with this movement. And if we can't get to the floor, that's okay. Just march in place. Keep that heart rate going.
Now move away from your station and find your heart rate.
Let's go ahead and check that heart rate.
Get
Find
ready
your
for
pulse.
a 10-second count. Ready? 3, 2, 1, count. Stop, move to the next station, and resume
Okay, I hope
exercising.
everyone's between that 17 and 21 beat. Let's go ahead and take a drink of water, march it in place for just a moment. At the next change stations, we'll get ready for that next movement. You want to keep that heart rate going, keep marching. Our next move is going to be back down on the floor for hip bridges. So let's go ahead, go back onto the floor, onto our back. Nice neutral spine, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Gently lift your hips up. Use controlled motions to lower back down. We're really working on our abdominal muscles and our glutes as we lift up into this position. Hands are going to be right by our sides to help us maintain stability.
Change stations now.
All right, from here, let's go to a reverse tabletop. So we're going to keep our feet in the same position, but this time we're going to go ahead and use our arms to lift our hips up into a tabletop position. Again, we're engaging the core as we hold this position. You guys are doing great. I know you're feeling it.
Change stations now.
All right, we're going to come back up to a standing position and do a stair climb with a bicep curl. So as we march, we're gonna curl the opposite arm to the leg that we're lifting. So left leg up, right arm curls. Challenge yourself, try to move to the beat of the music. This is a great cardio move to come back to. Let's go ahead and move to a curtsy lunge. Now we're going to work on those inner and outer thighs. So we're going to step into a wide lunge, step one toe back, lower down as low as you can. Use controlled motions to come back up. We're alternating right side and then left side throughout this entire set.
Change stations now.
Now we're going to go to a core movement. We're going to do a standing side crunch. So with our feet hip distance apart, bring our hands up to ears, and we're going to crunch on just one side for the entire 15 seconds, and then we'll switch. Give me two more, one more. Now let's switch sides and crunch on the other side. You're just bringing that elbow down towards your knee. Awesome. Now we're going to do a lunge with a rear leg extension. So let's go ahead and step into a feet hip distance apart into a lunge. And then we're going to raise that back leg up as we come back up. So lunge, kick that leg behind you and return to the standing position.
Change stations now.
Now let's do an upper body movement with some tricep squeezes. Feet are going to be hip distance apart. We're going to hinge forward at the hips. And we're going to use controlled motions to squeeze our arms close together. Squeeze, contract, release. Squeeze, contract, release. Really focusing on those triceps in the upper arm. This may seem like a simple move, but it can certainly deliver huge results if we stay focused and really pay attention to those muscles.
Change stations now.
Great, let's go back to lower body, wide squat jumps. We're going to step into a wide stance, lower into a squat, and then add a little jump. If the jump is too much for you, remove the plyometrics and just stand back up. But get low into that squat and then come back up. You want to make sure you're keeping your chest up and your shoulders neutral. Inhale as you lower, spring up and exhale.
Change stations now.
Now we're going to do a ski jump, a very similar move, but this time our feet are going to be hip distance apart. We're going to lower into that squat and then rise up onto our tiptoes. So even though it says jump, we're not actually jumping. We're going to use our arms up overhead to add some momentum, and I want you to pretend like you're skiing downhill and taking off that jump.
Change stations now.
Let's do a cardio move, side squat shuffles. We're going to go to one side here, lower into a squat and take 3 steps to the right and then 3 steps back to the left. The idea is to stay low in that squat as we shuffle back and forth throughout the whole time, because staying low in that squat means we're working our glutes, our hamstrings, quadriceps, and hip flexors. Shuffling back and forth just means we get to add a little cardio and get our heart going.
Change stations now.
Okay, let's do an alternating prisoner lunge. So we're going to stand with our feet hip distance apart, step forward into a lunge, raise back up, and now let's repeat it on the other side. Take your time with this one. Make sure that that front knee stays right over the toe as you lower into the lunge. Come back up, switch sides.
Change stations now.
Great job. All right, we're halfway. Let's go back to the beginning at arm circles. Those arms are going to go straight out to our sides. We're going to do little circles. If we went forward the first time, we want to go backwards this time so that we're working the opposite muscle groups. Just don't let those arms drop. Keep going. You're almost there. Don't slow down. All right, oblique crunch and quarter squat. Let's hit that midsection again. Feet are in a nice wide stance. Toes are turned out. We're going to use our core to crunch. Bring that elbow down towards the knee. Come back up. Crunch down the other side. Make sure you're moving with your breath. Exhale, crunch down. Inhale, come up.
Change stations now.
Now we're going to go to a back lunge, side lunge combo. Let's work those legs. We're going to step back into a lunge. Feet are going to stay hip distance apart. Come up, step out to a side lunge. Now let's repeat on the other side. Step back and into a side lunge. Great. Alternate other side again. Step back and then to the side. We're making sure that that knee stays over our toe with all of those lunges. As we go back and as we go forward, we want to make sure that that knee doesn't go past the toe and place extra strain on the knee. Let's check that heart rate.
Get ready for a 10-second count. Ready? 3, 2, 1, count. Stop, move to the next station, and resume.
Okay, let's go ahead and walk it out for 30 seconds. Get a drink of water if you need a quick drink. Let's keep that heart rate up. I hope you're between the 60 and 70%. If you're getting closer to 80%, let's bring it down just a little bit. And at the change, we're going to move to an upper body movement.
Change stations now.
All right, let's go to a shoulder press lat pull. So with our feet hip distance apart, start with our shoulders, our hands right at our shoulders. Press up, pull back down to our shoulder height. Remember, you're going to pretend you've got 5-pound weights in your hands. Resist that movement on the way up. Resist it on the way down like you're lowering that 5-pound weight in each hand. Keep your core engaged and your shoulders relaxed to maintain a nice neutral posture.
Change stations now.
Now let's work the legs and core. We're going to do a forward lunge with core rotation. So we're going to step our right leg forward into a lunge and then rotate our core towards that right knee, holding the arms out the entire time. You're going to feel a nice stretch through our midsection, through our abdominals, through our obliques, and even in your back. It's going to feel great, but the arms are going to start to burn, so don't let them drop.
Change stations now.
Let's repeat that on the left side. Step that left foot forward into a lunge and twist. If you want to add a little more to this, strive to drive that back heel down to the ground to lengthen the back leg while you're holding this. It'll feel great.
Change stations now.
Okay, let's get some butt kicks in. We want to go back to that cardio interval. You can walk it, you can jog it, you can sprint. But the idea is to drive your heels up towards your bum with each step. Pick a pace that you can stick with. So challenge yourself. If you walked the first time, try jogging this time.
Change stations now.
Now let's do a reverse fly for our upper back. We're going to stand with our feet hip distance apart, slight hinge forward in those hips. We're going to start with our elbows bent at a 90-degree angle. Squeeze the shoulder blades as we lift up. Remember, we're pretending we've got 5-pound weights in each hand. So really resist that movement up and over and do some hip bridges. So we're going to go onto our back. Feet are going to be flat on the floor, knees bent, hands by our sides. Let's contract our abs and lift those hips up. Hold it there for a second. Use controlled motions to come back to the ground. As we lift up, we want to create a nice line from our knees through our hips to our shoulders. Raise up as high as you can.
Change stations now.
Now let's do a reverse tabletop. So we're going to keep in a similar position, but this time use our hands to lift our entire torso up as best we can. Now again, if we have trouble getting down to the floor, we can always do a march with reach or a stair climb with bicep curl. Just don't stop moving. If you're down holding this reverse tabletop, I know you're feeling this in your shoulders, you're feeling this in your legs, and you're definitely feeling your core. You are almost there. Keep going.
Now move away from your station and find your heart rate.
Let's check that heart rate again.
Get ready for a 10-second count. Ready? 3, 2, 1, count. Stop, move to the next station, and resume exercise.
All right, I hope you're still between 17 and 21 beats. Let's go ahead and do a stair climb with bicep curl. So we're just going to alternate that leg and arm, opposite leg, opposite arm coming up. Really challenge yourself to move with the beat of the music. Keep that heart rate going.
Change stations now.
Okay, now let's go into a curtsy lunge. Again, we're going to work our legs in all different directions here. So we're going to step one leg diagonally behind us, putting the toe down, lowering down as low as we can, and then alternate on the other side. Holding your arms out to your sides actually helps you with your balance. You want to keep your chest up and make sure that front knee doesn't go past your toes.
Change stations now.
Let's do a standing side crunch. Work the core one more time. So we're going to go one side for 15 seconds, and then we'll switch and go the other side. We're lowering that elbow down, raising the knee up. Give me one more. Let's switch sides. Part of the challenge with this move is just finding your balance. Sometimes we balance better on one side than the other. That's okay. We're here to create body symmetry. All right, we're going to do that lunge with rear leg extension. We're beginning our cool down, so I want you to start working at about 60% of what you have been. Take your time with this movement. Lower into that lunge, front knee stays right over the toe, little kick up behind you. Let's go other side. You're doing great. Let's do some tricep squeezes. Again, we're going to hinge forward at the hips just a little bit. Use slow controlled motions to squeeze those triceps and release. Squeeze and release. Should be really feeling that in the upper arms. Remember, it's a small movement, but it can definitely make your arms burn if we're focusing on it.
Change stations now.
All right, let's go to a wide squat jump. Again, we're going to step into a wide stance, lower into that squat, and power into a jump. If the jump is too much, that's okay. Just power up to a standing position. But remember, we're in cool down. We want to work at about 60 to 65%. So take your time with the movement.
Change stations now.
Now we're going to do a ski jump. So our feet are going to be hip distance apart, lower down, press up. This time we're not actually going to leave the ground. We're just pressing up into that position, bringing our hands up to gain a little momentum. We want to make sure that we keep our core engaged throughout this movement to help with stability.
Change stations now.
All right, let's do that squat and a side shuffle. So we're going to slow down how quickly we shuffle, but we're still going to squat. and shuffle to the side. Stay low in that squat the entire time to really work those legs.
Change stations now.
Okay, one move left. We're going to go with alternating prisoner lunges to wrap it up. So we're going to step forward into that lunge, press back up. Then we're in our cool down, so we're going to take our time, really focus on our form. Lower down as low as you can, but watch those knees. Make sure they stay with the toes.
Change stations now.
Now let's stretch it out after a great workout. So we're going to start in a forward lunge. Yeah, we did it. Step one leg forward, press the back heel down into the ground, and we're gently pressing the hips forward to stretch out the hip flexors as well. We're going to hold this here for a few more seconds. Make sure you're breathing. And let's switch sides. Again, pressing that back heel into the ground is going to stretch out the back of the leg as well. Let's go to a hamstring stretch. So we're going to keep one leg straight, one knee bent, pressing our hips back, keeping a nice neutral spine. And go ahead and rise up and switch sides.
Change stations now.
Now we'll do a side upper back stretch. So with our feet hip distance apart, we're going to reach one arm up and then bend slightly to the side. Make sure as you do this, you're just lifting your rib cage off your hip, keeping those shoulders nice and neutral. Great, let's try the other side. One arm up, reach it over to the side. Shoulders are nice and relaxed, just creating space between your hip and rib cage on that side.
Change stations now.
Now let's do a chest stretch. So I want you to reach your arms out like you're trying to grab opposing walls. Really open up your pectoral muscles through your chest, your deltoids in your shoulders, and your biceps. You worked them all very hard today. Take a nice deep breath. Exhale, let those muscles relax. Awesome. From here, let's do a tricep stretch. We're going to place one hand up behind our neck with our elbow up toward the ceiling. Grasp a hand and push down just slightly on that elbow. And switch sides. I want to say I'm so proud of all of you that came today and did this workout with us. I want you to celebrate yourself for working hard. Give yourself a pat on the back for hanging out with us. You guys are awesome.
Change stations now.
Now we're going to do an upper body stretch. We're going to clasp our hands and we're going to reach both hands up. Let the hips sink down. Lift the rib cage up, but keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. I want you to remember to continue to breathe as you hold this stretch. Breathing's going to help return your heart rate back to normal workout levels. It's also going to ensure that the muscles you just worked get the oxygen they need to recover properly. So make sure you're breathing.
Change stations now.
And our last stretch for today is the chest stretch. So I want you to clasp your hands behind you, and I want you to go ahead and open up that chest by pulling those arms back and up if possible. Great job, everyone. Awesome. Before we wrap up, Leah is going to take a few moments to walk us through a few of the other band exercises. Most of our workouts on My Curves on Demand do incorporate our resistance band. So she's going to demonstrate what a few of those movements would look like. We're going to start with the bicep curl. So with this, you're going to place the handle in each hand and step on the band with your feet hip distance apart with your palms facing forward. Then from here, you're going to curl up, bringing your wrist up towards your shoulders. Now, the great thing about the My Curves on Demand band, the Curves resistance band, is that you can adjust how much tension you have in the band. So if it's ever too easy, put more of the band between your feet, and that's going to really take up some slack and make it harder. But if it's ever too hard, you loosen how much band is between your feet. You make sure that it's really tight between your feet, and that's going to loosen up the slack everywhere else. Awesome, Leah. Will you show us a squat as well? We do upper body, lower body, and core movements here. So keeping our feet in the same position. She's changed her hand position so the hands are up by the shoulders, lowering the hips back and down slowly, and then powering back up. She's able to work her glutes, hamstrings, her quadriceps, and her hip flexors with this movement. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Leah. Appreciate it. We have about 14 different moves that feature different parts of the body with My Curves on Demand. And one last thing I want to show everybody is our actual My Curves on Demand website. So if you were to become a My Curves on Demand member, just want to give you a little bit of a sample of what you would see. First and foremost, we have live tours. These are coach-led tours every week. The coach will actually walk you through where to find everything on the website, which is awesome. We also have a resistance band tutorial. So if you're unsure of how to do one of the resistance band moves, we have a tutorial section here for you to help walk through that as well. And then you can see all of these different class categories. Today's workout was from our body basics section. Again, this is in the lower to moderate intensity. We also have balance classes, which are balance, yoga, and Tai Chi inspired. So again, on that lower intensity. We have express workouts that are only no more than 15 minutes, most of them being 7 to 15 minutes, some great stretching in there. And then one of my personal favorite categories is this audio category. These are great for days when you just want to pop your headphones in and go out and do a workout. There's no video component, but some of the workouts in here even include meditations. And I don't know about you, but we could all use a good meditation now and then, right? So that's what I had for everyone today.
Macy, Leah, thank you so much for your time. The music was very fun, and I'm excited to watch the replay and do this workout again. In the same replay email, we will make sure you know where to access your offer from Curves, where to access Curves on Demand, and also where to access all of Paloma Health services and products so that you can take back control of your thyroid health. So Macy, Leah, thank you very much for your time. Thank you to everyone who's joined us today, and we will see you soon.